Hey Angularites, what's up? I started my channel off last time with a super long video, maybe too long, so this time we're doing a short one. Anyway, I recently found myself attempting to replicate a native application which had undockable components at work, something I don't think I've ever seen on the web, but seems like great functionality to have available. Luckily, with NPM, adding popoutable components has become completely trivial. I'm going to talk a little about the libraries you have available, but if you'd like to skip ahead to implementation, I'll show the timecode now, or maybe even the link if I can figure that out. The library I used in my workplace, and upon which I based my own library, was Shemesh's Angular Popout Window. Angular Popout Window wraps the component to be undocked and keeps a reference to its native element using the viewchild decorator. In this case, we see parent window is the browser instance, Popout Window is the library component here, and the popout wrapper and popoutable are references to the sort of the HTML element in the parent window that contains the content and the content itself, respectively. When its popout function is called, the wrapping creates a popout window using the JS built-in window.open function and appends, in this case, popoutable's native element to the document.body or body tag. Once popped out, these components still share the same logical backbone. Therefore, changes made on the parent window will be persisted in the child and vice versa. Coming from Angular Popout Window, my personal priorities led to the creation of my own version, Angular Opinionated Popout Window, a fork which has some different options and overall simpler implementation. Let me first show you how to install it. I'm going to come at this from the perspective that you already have an Angular application and have NPM installed. This is not a library most developers would be thinking about before having an application. It's more of a feature request than anything, so I'll be skipping right to the installation of the library itself. With that in mind, here's our little toy application. It has navigation with a few options, and a clock which has controls internal and external to its own component. This +5 is actually in the clock component's parent template. And we're going to be adding popoutable all over this application, starting with a base case, and then exploring its functionality in a few other places.
The installation procedure is simple enough, and the instructions can be found at the NPM website right here. Installation install via NPM. So the first step is to run npm install Angular Opinionated Popout Window in the root of the application. So let's do that. While that loads, we'll run to the next part, which is going to be to import Popout Window module from Angular Opinionated Popout Window in the app.module, which is in source, and app.module.ts right here. Import Popout Window module from Angular Opinionated Popout Window. Finally, we take this Popout Window module and place it into our imports array, like so, and we're ready to go.
A simple case is the nav bar here. So let's go to the code. It's right here. Just pop the module elements, popout window, around it. Then we should be able to build and then reload. And ta-da! We have, so obviously this is the normal functionality, and now we can pop it out and we can break it away a little bit, and we can navigate between the options ourselves. So as you see, the parent window is obeying what the child window is sort of doing. We can pop it back in with the X button, or we can pop it back in with this as well. Well, that was so much fun. Let's add it to the clock up here as well. So first find the element. Wrap it with a popout window component tag. Reload, and there we have a popoutable clock right here. Boom. And as you can see, this +5 button is external to the clock component. So I'm just going to show you how the data is bound 2 ways. So we can control the clock from in here, but we can also control it from down there. And then once we pop this back in, it's going to also show 16, so the data will persist. That's all to say that basically data is, there's not really any difference between the parent and child window as far as the logic is concerned. So here we are. I would also like to draw attention to the fact that when you pop it out, the wrapper by default will collapse, which allows you to save screen real estate so you can have more interface space for other stuff. And the user can, of course, presumably pop this out to another window. So yeah, that's pretty useful. I would also like to draw attention to the fact that it will attempt to snap the window title bar right underneath your mouse, so you can move it right away. So like this. Boom. Drag it off to the other window. Bye-bye. Now let's add the pop-outable functionality to this little text element as well. So first we find a tag that contains it, which is actually going to be here. Then we wrap it with that pop-out window. And here it's ready to be popped out for us. So boom, like that. It's popping in and out, no problem. But you'll notice that this text jumps around a little bit, which in certain cases, particularly with text, I think, can be a little bit visually disturbing, which leads us to the first of a few different options that we have. In this case, it's wrapper retain size on pop-out. So that's to say, the wrapper that contains the content, when it's projected out, the wrapper will retain its own size upon pop-out. So let us add that to this pop-out window right here. Boolean of true. All right, and now let's reload. There, no more text jumping around. Finally, let's add pop-out ability to the these to-do list routes. So let's add that straight off the bat. And now we have nicely pop-outable to-do lists right here, right here. Brilliant. But you'll notice that it looks a little weird. This looks fine, high enough contrast, but on the dark color, this dark icon doesn't have sufficient contrast. It looks a little bit weird. So we have one remaining option here, which is the white icon option. So in that case, go like this, white icon. It's a Boolean value once again. So, and in this component, we have access to dark route, which is true if it's on a dark route. So yes, so white icon when it's on a dark route, therefore it will have sufficiently high contrast. So as you can see, on the light color, we have a dark one, because dark route is not true. And then we have a white icon on the dark route, because it is true. So that's hopefully a useful input as well. And of course, both work. The background color is on this component, not on the internal component. Therefore, this one isn't colored. So that's something you'll need to consider if you use this library. Just style your components accordingly.
All right, now that we've added pop-out ability to the clock, to the navigation, and to the text, let's just get wacky, pop them all out, and then that'll actually help me show you one final thing about this library that might be important to you. So, clock, navigation, text, right here, and there you are. All three of them are popped out. And the thing that I wanted to show you was that if you navigate in here, what we're going to expect is this text element is going to go off the DOM. And if I navigate to light or dark color, that'll pop in the to-do list. So what you might expect to happen is that this would disappear when its parent elements on the DOM disappear. And this one's going to disappear it's exactly what happens. So there you go. So if something disappears from the DOM and you navigate away, then it's going to be destroyed as well, and it'll call its closing method if you need to perform any logic. But yeah. So that's it. That's how you add pop-out ability to your Angular application. Just install from npm, add it to your module, and wrap your HTML element in it. Taking a look at the libraries, we have the Angular Popout Window. This is for more customizability. I've used it in my workplace. It definitely works great. It's what my library was based on. It offers some additional things like positioning of the window, width and height of the window, and also customization over how the styles are cloned, a couple things like that. Whereas mine, of course, offers the additional button built in, sort of some styles to do with that. This additional wrapper retain size on pop out, and Angular Popout Window will attempt to overlay the original element, whereas this one will attempt to snap to your mouse. A few things like that. But yeah, so just whichever one fits your use case, go for it, and happy coding.